to like be on camera and try to focus on
You know,
recording.
it's funny. I literally show up in like my pajamas and like or like from working out, and it's funny because people are always like, "Oh wait, we're like there's video." I'm like, nobody's gonna see it. Like we're both hot messes right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. Where are you in the country?
I'm in South Florida. What about yourself?
Oh, cool. I'm in Chicago.
Oh, so it's nice and cold.
Yes. And we also have Pam. She should be on in another minute or so.
Awesome. Before we start recording, I'll turn off my AC in case you hear that like buzzing
Okay.
kind of in the background.
Okay.
Nice.
If like you need it, don't worry about it. We'll work
I always
around it.
turn it off when I record because it's
Okay.
just annoying. I'm just 7 months pregnant, so I make the room as cold as possible before I
Oh.
start recording, and then I
Yeah.
turn it off.
That's
And so
exciting though.
yeah, it's good. I mean, yeah, it's good. It's like been it's weird. Like, what do you say to being pregnant?
You're right.
I was one of those people that was always really freaked out by a pregnant woman, and now that I am one, I was like, "Oh, this is not nearly as bad as I thought it was gonna be."
I'm not a
But
scary person like I thought everybody else was.
I mean, it's more like the fact that there's an alien growing inside of you, and
Yeah.
like I don't know, and people give you weird attention. Like like I get it. It's really cool miracle. Like I mean, it is a really cool miracle. Don't get me wrong. But
Hmm.
like I went to go lift a light one day, and the person was like, "You can't do that in your condition." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like I can lift up like a lighting pole that you use
Yeah.
for like photography shoots." So it's just weird to me that like I don't know, I'm not handicapped.
Yeah, right. Everyone just wants to make sure you're okay.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Anyway, that's my whole weirdness on pregnancy. So what do you do exactly?
So, well, in addition to this podcast and a Harry Potter podcast,
Oh, that's
I
fun.
do a website called Hypable, and it's a movie and TV fandom type of website.
Very
Um,
cool.
yeah, and I've been doing that since 2011, and on that work from home grind like you are.
Yeah, definitely. What's it called? So with Hypable, how does it all work? So you guys run it like a media site, I'd imagine.
Yeah, exactly. And I used
Huh.
to live in LA, but I got out of it because it's very expensive there. But
Yeah,
can still run it from Chicago. Hey,
that's
Pam.
cool.
Hi.
Meet our guest, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Very
I was just filling Rachel in on my sitch.
Oh,
And
nice.
like I want to ask about you, Rachel, but I also want to save it for the show.
yeah, no worries. I do that all the time to people, don't worry.
Yeah. I feel like all three of us have a common vein of where our workplace is, so that should make for an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
So,
Rude.
And Rachel, I think I sent you the Google Doc, right?
Yeah, do you want me to like pull that up?
It might be helpful. It's not required or anything, but I was thinking that we will let you go after the news part
Okay.
because after that we just kind of have some wrap up things to do.
Okay.
So yeah,
Sounds good.
yeah. And did you have any other questions about the doc or recording or anything?
So like I'm not here until you guys welcome me. And then with the news portion, do I just sit there and you guys like rapid fire or am I supposed to talk too?
Oh no, we want you to participate. Yeah, please. Yeah,
Okay.
jump
I'm
in
like, I'm not
whenever.
totally sure. It's like all the other podcasts I do they're not like so structured like this. I watched like Betches record one of theirs and it's very structured like this. Um
Interesting.
yeah, so I'm like, oh wow, there's like a whole outline and template. And they really like know what they're gonna do. I like go and I show up and I'm like, I have no idea what's gonna happen, but we're gonna hit record.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. I mean, like there are a lot of words in here, but it is a pretty unscripted, loose show, I think.
I think
Yeah,
it's
I've
mostly
actually
a
listened to your
guideline.
podcast before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
All right,
Sounds
and I am going to intro you right at the top of the show, so feel free to jump in, whenever after I
okay.
intro you. Yeah.
Cool. I'll just go turn off my AC, so just give me like 2 seconds
Sure.
if you guys say anything.
Yeah. How you doing, Pam?
Good. How are you? How's Chicago?
I'm good. Cold.
Yeah.
My brother just left. I just
Oh,
got back from
nice.
taking him to the airport, and my parents are here over the weekend too. So like, I'm finally alone for the first time since Thursday, jumping right into the podcast.
I got back from LA on Saturday and I walked in and there were like people in my house.
Oh, what do
Because
you mean?
I have an aunt and an uncle that came because they can't come for Thanksgiving this year, and I didn't know they weren't going to be here. So
Mm.
I think they're leaving tomorrow morning, but they're with my grandparents today. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
fine. But yeah, I walked in, I was like, oh, hello. I have so much to do on Sunday, but sure, just let's do family stuff.
Yeah, especially when you get back from traveling, you don't want to immediately entertain, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. I think I'm gonna see Laura when she's out here in San Francisco though.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Well, she's out there now.
I know.
Oh, you're talking like it's happening in the future.
Well, it is. And like I think we're gonna meet up on Wednesday.
Oh,
So
great.
it'll be fun. Yeah.
I'm back.
Okay. All right. So, everybody start recording.
Hold on one sec. Oh, perfect. It's fine.
Okay. And Rachel, you going?
I'm going.
Okay. We normally play the music, and like we come off like we have a professional production here, but I was just testing it, and my computer's doing something weird with the sound effects, so I'm just not gonna play any intro or outro music today. So pretend like it's a very professional production.
Okay.
Welcome to Millennial 444. I'm Andrew.
I'm Pamela.
And we have a guest this week, Rachel Ritlop. Hi, Rachel.
Hi. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, it's so great to have you. You actually aren't one of our listeners. We have a listener on from time to time, but you run a website called theconfusedmillennial.com, and that's how we discovered you. What else can you tell us about you and this website that you do?
Yeah, I mean, that's super broad, so I'll keep it really short. Basically, I was going through my quarter life crisis. I got fired twice in under a month, and I knew I couldn't go back into the workforce. And long story short, one morning I was crying to my husband. I'm just another confused millennial that has no idea what I'm doing with my life. And I grabbed my laptop because it was like a lightning bolt had hit me, and I saw the domain was available. And 2 days later, I had a blog with a logo and 4 blog posts, and that was 2+ years ago.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to talk to you more about it later on because I see you as like one of these leaders of millennials. Like you're trying to help people like us. And obviously with us being called millennial, we thought it would be nice to have you on to talk about millennials.
Definitely. It's been an interesting ride. I ended up getting tapped by Forbes to write for their under 30 section at one point.
Whoa.
So I feel like I kind of fell into having to become like this millennial expert without realizing that that's what I was going to fall into.
Why can't people see us as millennial experts? Why can't Forbes come to us? Like, I'm happy for you, Rachel, but can they come to us too, please? Anyway, it's also nice to have you on because one of our other co-hosts, Laura, is not on this week. So thank you for kind of filling in for her. So we wanted to talk about a few things this week. I think Rachel was actually commenting before we started recording that our show looks very structured, and it does in the planning phase. But I think this will actually be more of a loose show because it's our last episode before the Thanksgiving break. And, Laura's out and she's like always wanting to make this so structured and serious and everything. So we're just going to kind of have a relaxed show today, I think. But we do want to start out with some sad news. These fires in another California story. We want to start with the shooting that happened in Thousand Oaks. I was very shocked by this one because I actually lived in Thousand Oaks for a year in 2014 with my ex-boyfriend. And even crazier, that bar was literally across the street from my apartment. So waking up to the news that this shooting in which 12 people died happened at Borderline, I was just shocked. Pam, you stayed at, you visited me at this apartment one time, and of course, you live in California. This was crazy, right?
Oh, it was so crazy. I remember going out to your place at least a few times. I mean, it was kind of far away. I can't believe you guys moved so far from the city at one point.
I'll answer that in a second.
You're young,
Go
you
on.
know, and like all the actions and West Hollywood, North Hollywood, Silver Lake, all that good stuff. But yeah, no, Thousand Oaks is such a sleepy little suburb, and I know that wasn't your ex working at Channel Islands for a bit too, and that's part of the community as well. So
Exactly.
it's just shocking.
College students visit that Borderline bar, and they were having a college country night. And that's actually why we moved to Thousand Oaks, because Mike was at Cal. He was not teaching. He was working at Cal State Channel Islands, which is even further away from Los Angeles. So we decided to live in between where he worked and LA. And I needed a break from LA, Pam. And I was like, Thousand Oaks? Cool. Britney Spears lives there. Her and I are going to shop at the same Target. This sounds like a great place for me to live. So it was nice actually getting out of LA for a little bit. And you nailed it. It's a sleepy town. You would never expect something like this to happen in Thousand Oaks, California. So just really sad, and our thoughts are with everybody who's been affected by this shooting. And as if that weren't bad enough, these forest fires, and I know you've kind of run into both of them over the past few days, haven't you, Pam?
I have. I was out in LA this past week for about 10 days and flying out of Long Beach, which is not very close to where this is happening. Long Beach is actually going towards Disneyland, and the fires in Southern California are past Universal Studios. I feel like those are good landmarks for people that just come to vacation in California. But because of the winds, the smoke has traveled south. So leaving from Long Beach, it was just this thick fire haze until we got up to the elevated point that planes usually fly. And then you just couldn't see anything below until we got out of the area. And then, of course, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. And so flying back into the Bay Area, it was the same thing because we have fires up here in the north as well. So
how the hell did both of these massive fires break out at the same time?
I have no idea. I'm not sure because, honestly, living in California and keeping up with news in both of these regions, because I go back and forth, I feel like I kind of have a good scope for what's going on. But I wonder if people on the national scale know that California is burning from both ends, because I know Southern California fire is getting a lot of attention because so many celebrities are involved as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's pretty devastating out here too.
You didn't know that, Rachel?
No, not at all.
Yeah, so the Woolsey fire is the one that's out in Southern California. And then we have the Campfire wildfire up here, which is really bad. Last year, my family's home was actually in danger because of the Tubbs County fire up here in the north as well. But we didn't have to evacuate or anything like that, although we were on high alert for a few days. But it's just so awful that all of these people that are in the process still of rehabilitating from last year, we're just living in unhealthy air conditions, and you can just smell the smoke because the winds are so strong. Yeah. There's poor air quality warnings for the rest of the week out here too. So it's just kind of this yearly occurrence, and it's so sad that it's still happening.
Yeah.
25 people have died and more are missing, so that death toll is likely to rise. And that Southern California fire, that happened right over the mountains from Thousand Oaks. So Thousand Oaks, that Ventura County, that general area is just having a god-awful freaking week. So we're thinking of all y'all who are out there.
Yeah.
But in some other news, and we have some interesting stories to get to later today, we're going to kind of make an entertainment-focused episode out of this edition of Millennial. We wanted to offer a couple updates on the midterms. First of all, the Arizona Senate race got interesting because Kristen Sinema, a Democrat, jumped ahead in the vote count. and now leads her Republican challenger, Martha McSally, by 30,000 votes. This is big news because this used to be Jeff Flake's seat. He was a Republican, and he was critical of Trump. I don't know if that played a role in this seat flipping blue, but it looks like Kristen Sinema is going to pull it out. So that's excellent news. And down in Florida, and Rachel actually lives in Florida, so I definitely want to get your take on this. Bill Nelson, the incumbent, who's the Democrat, was losing to Rick Scott, and he still is, but he has caught up to him in votes so much that by law, there is a manual recount happening now. Is that right?
Yeah, they are recounting everything right now. The big, where I am, everyone was really disappointed by Andrew Gillum's loss. And that's kind of where everyone's focusing their attention, which is just more on like the local level, not so much the state governor level. And it has been a nightmare. I have a lot of friends whose absentee ballots weren't counted, and it's Florida. I knew as soon as they announced Rick Scott as governor and that Andrew Gillum had lost, I was like, they're going to do a recount. There's a lot of fishy stuff going on this time around.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. You said that your friends' absentee ballots haven't been counted?
Yeah.
How do they know that?
You know what? I didn't even ask. I had gotten the information. I was talking to another one of my friends who, her and her mom are both really involved with the MSD, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas kids, and they work a lot with that whole movement, March for Our Lives, and making sure that the right people get into office this time around. So they go to all of the rallies and everything. And she was telling me about all of the people that we know whose absentee ballots weren't counted. I didn't even ask her how she confirmed that information. My guess is they probably called somehow and verified their number, I would think.
Yeah. What do you make of Trump's tweets? He's been saying that it's ridiculous. He's been saying that Florida should accept the results that arrived on election night only. Anything after that, forget it.
Yeah, it's because he's shaking in his boots. It's honestly, I live in the county where Mar-a-Lago is, and it's honestly insane to me that that place hasn't been burned down yet because our county hates him. But it's like this, it's a weird island they live in that there's a lot of anti-Semitism. It's your true old school Republican WASP, this one little part of our county. And yeah, I think I'm not surprised that he's saying that. That's what I would expect from him, unfortunately.
Yeah. Nobody's surprised, but it's so sad. The president is basically saying that every vote doesn't matter, shouldn't count.
Yeah, I mean, he's also saying sexual harassment's okay, and that we don't need gun reform. So.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not. So again, it's so terribly sad. I guess I just always try to focus on the silver lining of all of this, which is people are actually getting activated and engaged to make a change, because this has been a brutal couple years so far.
Yeah. And then one state away in Georgia, Brian Kemp has declared victory. He was the Republican, who seems to be ahead in the race, but Stacey Abrams isn't conceding until every last mail-in and provisional ballots is counted. So Arizona, Florida, and Georgia, 3 big races to watch. That Georgia one, by the way, is the governor race, whereas the first 2 were Senate races. All right, so we're going to talk to Rachel more about what she does and her website in a second. But first, we have a new sponsor this week, and they are the go-to place for a thoughtful holiday gift. You know, when you're trying to find a gift for someone and you're trying to think of something truly unique and personal, it can be difficult. We all sweat this every holiday season. You're looking for something that really connects with a loved one. May I suggest a personalized candle from Homesick Candles? Homesick candles come in unique scents that reflect all 50 of the United States and dozens of cities, college towns, and foreign countries. Homesick candles remind the recipient of a place that's close to their heart, and each candle is made from a natural soy wax blend, premium cotton wicks, and is completely non-toxic. You can shop by holiday, countries, memories, states, cities. They've got so many clever categories and smells These are great for people who are feeling homesick. It brings back memories. My boyfriend Pat recently got me into candles, and while I've liked the fall candles we've been obsessively huffing in recent months, homesick candles take the enjoyment to the next level by reminding you of the good old days. I ordered a Books pumpkin, or sorry, I ordered a Books candle, a pumpkin patch candle, an American summer candle, and California. I don't think it smells like forest fires. Pam, what type of candles did you get?
Well, I also ordered the pumpkin patch candle and I actually lit it on Halloween and it made my entire house smell so warm and cozy. These scents are really great because you pick up on a lot of the little nuances, but it's not super overpowering and it's almost kind of like it seeps into every corner of your house. So it's really nice, especially if you feel like you're a little worried because you're sensitive to scent. I feel like these are really well balanced. And then I picked up Grandma's Kitchen, which I thought was really fun as well. And then the Northern California candle, and then also the holiday candle, which is kind of the one that I'll be burning around Christmas next month.
Does that smell like the movie or what?
Oh my God, if only, right? Every holiday candle smells like Jude Law.
The holiday candle, sponsored by Fantastic Beasts.
Smell really nice and piney.
Awesome. Those are great choices. Like I said, these are a great gift idea because they're unique. They're thoughtful. They play to the interests of a loved one in an unexpected way. Start by just getting a candle corresponding to a city or state that your loved one used to live in. Right now, our listeners who go to homesick.com and use promo code MILL will receive 10% off any order over $50 and get free shipping. That is a great deal. 10% off and free shipping. This amazing offer and the most popular state and city candles won't last long, so don't wait. Just visit homesick.com now using promo code MILL. Find a personal gift for your whole list today. Again, promo code MILL. As in your home will smell like $1,000,000 with these candles. Homesick candle should let us do a millennial candle. It'll smell like Laura.
Oh, I was going to say, is that going to smell like crippling debt and anxiety?
and a microphone with spit all over it. All right, Rachel, thanks again for joining us. Tell us a bit about your website, The Confused Millennial. You said you had a light bulb moment, and this is your full-time job?
Yeah, it is. Before I go into it, though, I have to go back and just call it my pregnancy brain because I feel so bad about the governor election. Andrew Gillum's running for governor in Florida. And you're right, Rick Scott is for Senate. That's my 7-month pregnancy brain. So please forgive me, people, because like, that's all I can think about because as a millennial, totally beating myself up right now.
We didn't even catch that, but thank you for bringing it up.
Fact check for all your listeners.
Right? We appreciate it.
Yeah, so The Confused Millennial is my full-time job. Like I said earlier, I got fired twice from what I thought was like my dream career at 25. I was a therapist, working towards licensure. And I spent, after that, I knew I couldn't go back into the workforce. So I started my own company in 2014, which looks very differently than it does today with the Confused Millennial brand, because it took about 2 more years until I fell into that. But it has a lot of the same foundational and elemental educational pieces to it.
Interesting. Were you... That's fascinating. So you were fired from 2 jobs and then you decided to create this site. It must have been terrifying to jump into this because there was no guarantee that it would take off.
No, there was no guarantee, but I knew I couldn't keep going how I was going. So like I said, I had started my company about 2 years before The Confused Millennial came to be, which was essentially a life skills curriculum that I had spent 2 months writing out. My previous job was as a mental health and substance abuse counselor, working primarily with millennials. And I saw so many of them struggling with debt, with their jobs, finding happiness, just being okay in their own skin. So I wrote out this 200+ page curriculum, and just kind of tapped my network and said, hey, this is what I did. Do you want me to come in and teach a group? Do you have anybody that you think would benefit from this one-on-one? And so I did that for about a year, matching my old salary as a counselor. And
Wow.
I knew the business model was not scalable because I was driving all over town and I could only do so many things and reach so many people. I was really still exchanging time for money. So I hired a business coach online, which was an interesting experience. And I was like, I'm going to brand myself as like a career and business coach for millennials online. And it's 2015. And I'm like, this is going to be great. And about 2 months into that process, I was just sick to my stomach again. And I was crying to my husband. And that's when I said, I'm just another confused millennial that has no idea what I'm doing with my life, because I was building somebody else's dream once again. And so for me, I didn't start the confused millennial thinking that it was going to be my full-time job. I was very much focusing on my other revenue streams that I had already had in place for a couple years. And I set one goal for the first 6 months: do not even think about monetizing it. Just focus on finding your voice and growing an engaged audience. And then, after that, it was off to the races, and the confused millennial quickly took over as my primary income stream and is on target to make 6 figures this year. And in March, it'll be 3 years.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So it's been fun.
Yeah. So like I can kind of relate in terms of publishing, being a web publisher. How do you generate revenue? Is it advertise like sponsorships, display advertising?
Yeah, so primarily I work with brands on sponsored content, a lot of native advertising, influencer marketing type of stuff.
Interesting. That stuff
Mm.
has really taken off, hasn't it?
It has. When I first launched the blog, I thought I was going to be a media site, not an influencer. I thought I was going to be a multi-contributor platform. I thought I was going to make most of my money from ads, and I very quickly realized that I hated keeping track of all of the tiny affiliate links. That display ads were bigger eyesores than I felt like dealing with or getting paid to deal with. And I was just like, you know what? I am going to become the face of this and see what happens. And things just kind of kept taking off.
Yeah. So you do these sponsored posts. Like I'm on your Instagram and I see this one with Dunkin' Donuts slash
Mhm.
Walmart, which is
Yeah.
super awesome. Do you find that it's challenging to make like an authentic post that can generate interest, engagement? Like how do you find that balance between you know, getting engagement and still being genuine?
Yeah. So I mean, for me, I wouldn't say I find it hard to make an authentic post, because I probably get, you know, 500 emails a day. Maybe 80 of those need my response. And then from those, maybe 60 are viable options. And I only end up working with one. So
Mm,
I'm turning down so many that when I am agreeing to work with a brand, it's because I see an authentic alignment there. As far as like there, it does become challenging though at times when you end up saying yes to a brand and you think it's going to go great, and then all of a sudden they send you a list of like things they want you to put into the languaging, and I'm like, I would never say this though. Although I support your brand and like I totally believe in what you're doing, this does not sound like me at all. So I actually push back a great deal a lot of the time. So that can be interesting, but as far as like actually feeling authentic about the brands I'm working with, that's not so hard.
yeah, yeah. We kind of struggle with that here on the podcast as well because we only want to pick things that we can talk about passionately, and we have the challenge. And you have a podcast, so you know this.
Mhm.
We want to sound genuine on air. We don't want to sound like we're just following a script or something.
Exactly. I mean, because otherwise, then I would just stick with, pushing affiliate links and putting up display ads and things like that. For me, I truly love the storytelling aspect. Like Instagram ads are probably like one of my least favorite things to do.
Hmm.
I love doing blog ads because you actually like full native advertising posts, because you actually get to build a story. You actually get to focus on providing valuable content to an audience. Whereas like, I don't know, Instagram's so burn or churn. And whether it's an ad or just a regular post I'm doing, I'm like, I don't know if anyone actually is getting value out of this. This feels so inauthentic to me in a way, because before falling into this career, I never posted on my Instagram. I never updated social media. I never even really went on social media. And so for me to spend like 3 hours a day on Instagram now, I'm like, who am I?
Yeah, yeah. But that's where the people are. So I guess that's why, that's where I went looking when I was looking for your sponsored posts.
Yeah. And so like it totally makes sense to me. But for me, I'm
Mm,
like, this is just not what I would be doing if this wasn't my career.
yeah, yeah. So if somebody wanted to, like, somebody's listening to this and is like, wow, I'm really inspired by this. What do you tell people in terms of getting started in like a similar career, launching a website, social media channels? How do people get those started?
I always tell people, number one, do not start if you are looking to make money. There are much easier ways to make money than trying to become like an Instagram influencer or launching a blog. For me, it really just comes back to feeling like this innate, overwhelming passion and drive to help others, or to get a specific message out there in whatever way that is. Like if you're
Mhm.
super passionate about politics and like this is what you eat, sleep, and breathe, then go for it. For me, I was insanely passionate about just shaking our generation to wake up from being sheep in our careers, and to take control of our finances and to really get in touch with who we are, embrace more, and embrace more of that while navigating this whole adulting thing, which ended up becoming like the tagline for the Confused Millennial blog and podcast and everything. And so when you have that drive, that thing that just like makes you so upset that you could talk about it for hours and hours and hours, you can actually create enough content to build a blog, to build an Instagram around it. Otherwise, it gets exhausting and you're going to burn out. And like you're constantly going through your life, like, oh, this could be a piece of content. Oh, this could be a piece of content. And I don't care what your business is as an entrepreneur, it's hard to clock out. But it's especially hard to clock out when you're like both going through your life as just somebody that's being present in your life, but also going through your life trying to find content and different ways to bring that message to other people.
Yeah. Oh,
That
you're
makes so much sense because like I work freelance for pop culture news, and I think that I totally feed into that. When I go to the movies, I think to myself, am I going to relax or do I want to turn this into something that I can
Mm-hmm.
pitch to somebody else? So I think with so many millennials kind of taking new paths and finding new creative ways to, you know, um, make their own jobs, it is hard to do that when a lot of it exists online.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I spent the year I wrote for Forbes, my vertical swim lane, whatever you want to call it, was work-life balance. And so I wrote 5 articles a month on work-life balance. And it's crazy to figure out like when do we clock out, especially today with technology, whether you're in a 9 to 5 or you have your own business. And what experiences are you putting on social media, creating content out of, or just like actually rejuvenating from? It all kind of becomes just like I'm kind of going through a pivoting season of my life where like, because I'm pregnant, I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing? So you guys get to hear. This is why I'm called the Confused Millennial, because these are my thoughts where I like constantly and just doubting myself and talking to myself in circles.
Yeah, it's a genuine website. You actually are confused. Yay.
Right.
So you mentioned clocking out. That's actually something I think that Pam and I both struggle with as well. So let me ask you, how do you create that work-life balance? How do you clock out when you're working at home?
Yeah, so I've been working at home for over 4 years now. And for me, it goes through different spurts. Both my husband and I are entrepreneurs. So we kind of end up reinforcing the fact that the other one's working at 8 o'clock at night. It's like, oh, you're working? I guess I'll work now too.
Oh,
So for me, it ends up not so much becoming about quote unquote clocking out. It ends up becoming about focusing on filling my tank for each of my passions. So I don't look at like work-life balance as a division of time. I look at it as a division of passions. And if I'm really excited to be working until 10 o'clock at night one night, that's actually totally okay with me. If I want to really like not work and it's 10 a.m. and I want to go to the beach, then that's what I try to listen to. So it's not so much about me having like set hours, because that really did not work for me when I tried to put myself in that box. And instead, if I get the urge that's like, you need to go get a green juice and go swing on the park and look at the water, then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to question this. I'm going to go do this right now. And that way I don't end up hitting that burnout level.
Interesting. Yeah. But then you still have to make sure that you are dedicating enough hours to work.
Yeah, I'm lucky because despite what it might sound like today, I really do love what I do. So I end up working more than enough hours just
Yeah.
kind of naturally. Like I end up kind of taking off unexpectedly the last 2 weeks. And I kind of just was really like paring back down everything to only working 1 or 2 hours a day. But that's because, for the 3 weeks before that, I accidentally ended up working 16-hour days nonstop. And
Mhm.
I got so far ahead on content and pre-planning stuff that I was able to do that.
Yeah. For us, I think it's hard to turn off because we're writing news, covering news. So, and news
Mhm.
obviously never stops. So, like, it's hard to shut down. I had to start setting hours for myself a couple months or a couple years ago because I was legit starting to have real bad panic attacks because I was working so much. I developed so much anxiety and stress that, like, my life was just out of control. I was working and felt responsible for the site 24 hours a day. And it was just a really bad place to be in. But Pam, it sounds like we got to get out of news.
Yeah,
It's like so hard. Like Rachel, you were saying, it's so hard to quit something that you love. Like
Yeah.
I genuinely love it. Oh my God. If there's breaking news and I have like 10 minutes to get it up, that's better than any drug to me.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
and that makes it totally okay. That's why I'm like, it's not about clocking out. Like, if that's how you feel about it, then like by all means, go full tilt on it. It's when I think like what Andrew was saying, it negatively impacts your life. Like you're developing anxiety, you're having like all those burnout symptoms, and that's
Mhm.
when you need to kind of like readjust. But yeah, I totally understand that.
hmm And I'm with both of you. Like, if you're doing something you genuinely love, then it doesn't feel like work, and thus it's not stressful.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
For me, it's just honestly been about learning that it's okay to say no. You don't have to do everything. You don't
Mhm.
have to
And for
feel like you need to do everything, and it's okay to take a step back. And that's really helped me a lot.
Yeah. And for me, the thing that's really helped too is I actually don't have email on my phone anymore. You guys are in news,
hmm.
so it's probably a little bit different, but I'm like, nothing I'm doing. I used to work, in mental health and substance abuse counseling, where I was literally getting calls at 2 o'clock in the morning that I had to go to the residences because I had a suicidal patient. I was like, this work is not life or death. If like I don't get this piece of content out at this specific time, you know, the world's not going to stop. Nobody's going to die from that. And so I was like, okay, I need to like give myself the breathing room to not put this pressure, this assumed pressure on myself.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a boss and nobody's telling me I have to get this stuff done. It's just this innate thing inside me telling me I have to get this up at this specific time.
Right. And you got to keep the money coming in. I mean, it just comes down to that as well. Like, yeah, I could not work, but also I need to make sure my site remains successful. So,
Yeah, definitely. Fortunately, I've gotten really into like batching all of my tasks. So like there was a 2-week period where I sent out over 500 pitches for brand collaborations. So for those 2 weeks, the only thing I did, I didn't create content or anything. I was just focusing on creating money generating opportunities, and then
wow.
got all those kind of taken care of. Then I could go back into just content creation mode for a while. So it's I'm fortunate that I can batch my tasks.
Can you like write a book on all this? Like, I'm hearing all these interesting ideas and I should be taking notes, but I'm not. So if you could just make a book, that would be great.
So I'm on it. I'll add it to my list. That's the part of being the confused millennial. I have like 15 different projects I start and
Yeah.
never finish them.
So we talked about work-life balance, but what other challenges that you as a millennial from who works from home faces?
Oh, I mean, I guess, I was seeing a shaman at the start of this year.
Wow.
And so he was like telling me, he's like, there's somebody at your job that's really stressing you out. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I work for myself. And he's like, no, it's telling me like right here. He was reading my energy alchemy. And he's like, it's showing me right here that there's somebody in your work environment that is really stressing you out and they're draining you. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I work from home. He goes, oh, that's it. There's no separation between work and home for you. I was like, the only person around is my husband, who would happen to be, he was just starting his second company, but he was also working a 9 to 5, and he was waffling about whether or not he wanted to quit yet or hold off another few months. Because anyone that knows startup life, it always takes longer to raise money for your new venture than you want it to. So I was literally having the same conversation with him every single day about what he needed to do. I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. So I guess for me, it comes down to the fact that like there is no separation between the two. And if I get an email that really pisses me off, I go upstairs and I'm like venting about it in my kitchen, in my living room, where that no longer becomes a sanctuary for me.
Yeah. So like you have an office that you try to stay out of unless you're explicitly working.
Yeah, I mean, I have an office in my house. This is like the first time that I actually have a dedicated office. The first 2 or 3 years, I was literally had like a desk in our living room, or it was the couch. And my husband got our bed because we were 900 square feet, both running our own companies. So that was definitely interesting. But what I found since getting pregnant is I actually like to work from bed more again. So I just always switch things up. But yeah, having the office has definitely helped overall this
Yeah.
past year and a half.
I don't have my desk. My desk is in my living room, but it's in like kind of it's in a nook, so it's kind of separate.
Mhm.
But I really do subscribe to the idea that if you are working from home, you need a place that is exclusively for work, like a separate bedroom that you turn into an office, so that when you're only in there, it's to work, and then you can quote unquote leave work for the day. You don't have to be in the same place that you work. I know that's hard because you need extra space, and I don't even do it right now, but I do highly recommend it.
Yeah, it really, like, when I first set up my office and I was super excited about it, like, before I got pregnant and all that stuff, I was obsessed with being in my office. It was the only place I worked for the first year and a half, and then these last few months, I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna just stay here today and do this." And I've also noticed that I end up working a lot less, like, I'm taking half days and stuff now.
Nice. So do you worry about the future? I know Pam and I do. We're like, what the hell? I mean, is this website stuff going to last forever? Is the podcast stuff going to last forever? You must worry about that too, right?
Were you, like, tapped into my thoughts last night? Because I was literally thinking, like, what is gonna happen when all these Instagram people are 80? Like, are we still gonna be, like, with our, like, granny walkers and stuff taking selfies?
Right.
Um, yeah, no, I definitely worry about all of that to a certain extent. For me, I've always looked at this period of my life as what's just happening right now. I launched the blog, although I kind of launched it like on this like blind rage whim where I was just kind of needed to get out a certain message at that time. I had the idea for a blog for like a year or so prior because I knew that I always wanted to get into writing books and doing speaking engagements on a larger scale. So for me, it was kind of like, okay, well, you need an audience to sell a book to. You need an audience that would come and see you speak. So I don't know that the blog or Instagram or the podcast, that these are like my 50-year plan by any means, but hopefully by 50 I'm retired and we'll just see what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think they're 50-year plans either, but I'm
They're
wondering, okay, so what am I
definitely not.
doing in 10 years or 20 years? Like, uh-oh.
I think I'll still be doing this in 10 years. I really
Yeah.
do actually. Like, cause I mean, I think you guys would be too though, cause you guys really enjoy it. I don't
Right.
think it's going anywhere for the next 10 years at
Yeah.
least.
10 years is dramatic. Maybe I shouldn't have said 10, but like, I don't know. When I'm 50 or so, is the internet even going to be around in like 30 years?
It's going to be like implanted in our brains when we're born. Like instead of getting a vitamin K injection, they're going to
Right.
give babies the internet
Right.
injection.
So how do I make a website for that? Oh,
I don't
boy.
even know.
So, since you do help millennials a lot, I wanted to hear what you think are the three biggest challenges millennials are facing right now.
Finances are definitely the biggest one. I see from my audience commenting on the blog and everything. Um, Personally, this is kind of gonna sound like a weird one, maybe, and I hope I say it right. Actually, figuring out who they are and how to be that person in the world,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. Because there's all this people pleasing, and like I hear so many people always commenting, they're like, I can't do that because so and so would be disappointed. I'm like, but you could do that. You're just choosing not to, and it's easier to shift the blame. So those would be like the two big ones. And then I guess the third one, I'd probably just go with careers because I think it ends up tying into the other two.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And what finances stem from like student loans and just
So
balancing it
what
all?
What I see happen a lot, student loans is obviously a really big one. What I see happen a lot for my audience is they had gotten credit cards when they were in college and they just screwed that up really bad. And so a lot of them are really afraid to even open up credit cards today. And so they're all, they're 25 to 33 years old living off of debit cards. And they, even when they've paid off, their revolving credit debt, they're still afraid to open up that door again. I'm like, but there's nothing to be afraid if you educate yourself and treat your credit card like a debit card. And so I think there's just kind of this really big fear instilled in them about acknowledging the fact that they have resources, that they can empower themselves, that they're not still like 20. I think that what's happening in the media today, where like, I don't know if you guys are getting this too. I get so many emails where they're like, we wanted to reach college students. I'm like, you realize millennials aren't in college anymore, right? And I think millennials have started to buy into that to a certain extent from the media. They're like, but I did this in college, so I can't be trusted with it. I'm like, but you're not in college anymore. You're almost 30 or you're just over 30. Like, what? Like,
Right.
yes, you can handle this.
Yeah. The credit card thing's interesting. We never talk about that here on the show, actually. We're always talking about the student loans, but yeah, people just kind of build up a lot of debt in the credit card, then it takes forever to get out of it. But I'm so with you on treating a credit card like a debit card. That's exactly how I do it. I set up auto pay to pay off the full thing at the during, whenever it's due. That way I don't run up my credit card because I know I have to pay for it next month.
Yeah. I mean, for me, if you're trying to repair your credit, I would always tell people to pay off your credit card bill every single week. That way you're keeping your utilization ratio down too, and you're
Oh,
not forgetting to pay it.
interesting. Yeah.
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 Like it's really simple little like changes you can make. So if you've paid off the debt, there's nothing to be afraid of with opening up a credit card again. And then you don't have to worry so much about like getting your home and your mortgage rate and stuff like that because you don't have a lending history. And so it just becomes this vicious cycle because, we're telling ourselves or people are telling themselves, I can't be trusted with this because I fucked it up. Oh, sorry. Can I curse on here?
Oh yeah. Oh, fuck
Okay.
yeah, you can.
I kept like stopping myself earlier, but sometimes it just slips out. But yeah, that they, messed it all up at one point in their life.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. And final question, do you see more people around our age getting work from home jobs? Because there seems to be less of an emphasis on getting college degrees these days.
Yeah, I saw the statistic the other day. Do not quote me on this. Fact check this. Do not trust what the words that are about to come out of my mouth. But I saw something like 50% of the workforce is projected to be freelancers by 2030.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I'm starting to see that a lot more too, where more and more people I know are getting into freelancing, side hustles that they're planning on turning into their full-time thing in the next 5 years, whatever that is. And then with that too, I'm seeing a lot more people, my sister-in-law included, that are working remote for companies out of New York City, out of LA, out of all these different places.
Yeah. It's so interesting. And it's nice to see that I'm not alone because I feel alone sitting here at my desk every day. It's just me and my dog who doesn't talk to me, even though I try to talk to him. And it's just like, you feel like you're alone, and then you like go to Starbucks or talk to somebody like you. And it's nice to know that there are other people out there who are doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, I would say for me, like the biggest challenge over the last 4 years has been the loneliness aspect.
Mm.
I thought about like when I thought I was going to be this multi-contributor platform, I thought I was going to like have employees and stuff, and I realized that I actually really like working by myself. It's just like, at least for right now, these last few years I've really enjoyed it, but I get lonely. And so like I always just invite people to like digital coffee dates. I'm like, "Hey, you want to get coffee even though you're in like California, and we can just
Oh,
like
it's
hang
so
out on Skype."
cute.
Yeah,
I
so
love
that's
that.
kind of how I go about like combating that.
Wow, interesting. I just stew in my loneliness and I don't do anything about it.
I do the same, but in California.
All right. Well, Rachel, it's been so nice talking to you. It's really nice to hear everything you have to share. And again, Rachel's website is theconfusedmillennial.com, and the podcast is called the same,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Excellent. We'll put links in our show notes. Rachel is going to hang around as we talk a little entertainment news. But first, we're going to throw it over to Laura, who has a word from this week's sponsor. All right. Thank you, Laura. So let's talk a little entertainment news. Going to keep things light and relaxed this episode. The three of us, we're all big Disney fans, right?
I just got back from there 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. Since you're in Florida, do you have like a annual pass or something?
When I was a kid, I did. Now I just take full advantage of their annual media day pass.
Oh, damn.
I need to do that.
Yeah, Rachel's got this all figured out.
I know. I always forget that I can ask for that stuff.
Yeah, I went and I got to see Hanson play Eat to the Beat at Epcot, and it was like the best day ever. Oh, I saw them at the pool. I was like literally the best day ever of my life. I think I pinned it all in my Instagram story highlights under pregnancy because it was my baby. If anyone wants to come watch me cry over Hanson.
BRB following you right now.
Did you look down at your child and were you like, look, this is Hanson. This is who I love most.
I literally, first, I just started crying hysterically. We were walking through the pool at the hotel we were staying at, and I'm like, oh my God, I start hitting my husband. I'm like, oh my God, that's Isaac Hanson. And he's in the hot tub with all of like 12,000 of their children. And I look over and I see Taylor Hanson's wife who's pregnant. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I go and sit down at a table to eat lunch, and there's Zach Hanson in the pool with his son. I'm like, oh my God. So I was like, my husband, he's like, Reagan is, or, oh wow, I accidentally just said my baby's name. Don't tell anybody because we were supposed to keep that a secret.
Millennial Podcast exclusive.
There you guys go. He's like, the baby is magic, and she literally is making this all happen for you right now, because I had injured my foot and I was thinking about going home and not staying to see them. And there they were. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely staying now.
Wow.
So,
that is hilarious.
So she went to her first Hanson concert.
I can't imagine just like walking around a hotel and running into somebody I idolize chilling in a hot tub. Like my mind would explode.
Yeah, to just so people know how much I idolize them, in third grade I went as Zach Hanson for Halloween. Like, this is not a joke.
So anyway, Disney is announcing they announced Disney Plus. So this is going to be their streaming service. It's going to be like Netflix, but all Disney. This includes Walt Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm, National Geographic. For some reason, there's some partnership happening there, but they're calling it Disney Plus. First, I feel like this is already off to a bad start because I don't like that name. It implies that Disney has not been a premium product until now. Like what, why the basic name Disney Plus?
I feel like it's like in line with their new Fast Pass Plus. Like that's what they changed their Fast Passes to.
Oh, that's true. They've been on this Plus grind for a while, haven't they? And
I
also,
think so.
ESPN Plus, I think, is the name of their streaming ESPN streamer. But I don't know. Does this sound like something we'll subscribe to? We don't have the price yet, but they have said it's going to be cheaper than Netflix. So I think it's going to be under $10 a month.
It's getting harder and harder to say no, though, with all of the shows that they have coming down the pipeline.
Right. What are some of them?
Big stuff. Jon Favreau is producing and writing The Mandalorian, which is the first live action Star Wars series. They announced a new Star Wars series that's also in production that's going to feature Diego Luna returning to reprise his role as Cassian from Rogue One. And then there's the slew of Marvel limited series, including the one featuring Tom Hiddleston returning to reprise his role as Loki. So those are all like really big things, especially if they're getting big screen actors to come back. Obviously, Netflix has been doing Marvel TV for years, but it's a game changer to bring the Marvel Cinematic Universe to the small screen.
Yeah. And like we've seen some Netflix knockoffs, so to speak, like CBS All Access. They have Star Trek, and Netflix has been trying to stay competitive with big brands like A Series of Unfortunate Events. And there's rumors of a Legend of Zelda series. And God, I mean, there's countless ones that I'm forgetting right now, but Disney has all the biggest brands. It's just undeniable. But what I'm most excited about is this idea that I'm going to be able to watch any Disney movie ever. I'm thinking about like the 90s animated classics, like just being able to stream those whenever I want. That sounds amazing.
I mean, I just bought the Halloween Town off of Amazon because there was no other way to watch it like 2 weeks ago. So I'm down for that.
There you go. Disney Plus is going to have your back. And I think all the Disney Channel stuff's going to be on there as well.
Which, if nobody's watched Girl Meets World, I mean, I think it got canceled way too soon. I cried.
Aw.
Actually, same though. It's so
right? It
yeah.
That was like one of the few ones. Like, I'm like, how is Fuller House still going on Netflix? But Girl Meets World is not getting the love it deserves. And it was so much better of like the 90s remakes.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it'll make a comeback on Disney Plus, the new season.
I would love that.
I feel like a big question is going to be how many simultaneous streams you can run under one Disney Plus account, because there's been a running joke about how many people can use HBO Go at once. It seems to like they don't seem to care. And I think the CEO of HBO said one time, like, yeah, we don't really care. It's just good publicity for us, knowing that a lot of people use HBO passwords. Like, it's just kind of a funny joke that we embrace. But I feel like Disney's not going to do the same thing. So I'm curious how many times we can share our own Disney Plus passwords before they say, hey, too many people are logged in right now. Sorry.
But I feel like with it being primarily a quote unquote like kids thing, most families have at least 2 kids today. So I would think logically they would give you at least 3 users.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, even if somebody's downstairs, somebody's upstairs, that counts as 2. Like 2 people in the same house, I don't think can be on the same Hulu account at the same time.
Yeah, you'll be able to pay to add more simultaneous streams.
Don't give them that idea though. Keep it to yourself, Andrew.
Disney has no problem thinking of ways to squeeze more money out of people. So anyway, that's going to be released sometime in 2019. I know some other original shows they got a High School Musical one in the pipeline. When they originally announced all this, they said that there was going to be a Monsters University one. And I'm sure just more and more are going to be coming along. It's fascinating to see Disney put a bunch of big exclusives behind a streamer instead of, like a movie theater or a big television network. It's just a sign of the times. But I do also worry, like, how many streaming apps can we be paying for at once? Like, for me, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. That's it.
I also pay for Prime, but it's for the shipping too.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really count, but it does because Prime's stepping up their game. Like Amazon Video is definitely getting a lot of recognition right now. So
yeah, I definitely check Amazon Prime for videos and HBO Go before I check Netflix or Hulu.
Oh, that's interesting.
I actually subscribe to Stars through Amazon too.
Oh, okay.
While Outlander's on, and then I cancel my subscription.
Are you a cable cutter, Pam?
Am I a cable cutter?
Like,
I'm too lazy to call Xfinity and be like, excuse me, can I talk to you for 20 minutes just so you can add Stars? to my account. I'd rather just do it without human contact on
No,
Amazon.
but I mean, like, do you pay for traditional cable
Oh
television?
yeah, but it comes with a package. So we do internet and cable.
Because I just worry, like, if you pay for Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, let's say you pay for Stars and HBO as well, suddenly you're getting really close to the normal cable bill that you were trying to avoid.
That's true. I don't know. That's a really good point. I guess I hardly watch stuff on TV when it airs anymore.
Yeah.
I used to do that for the sake of the brand on Twitter if I was going to live tweet, but I don't really do very much of that these days. So maybe it is time to get rid of the cable bill and just, watch things the day after they air on Hulu.
Yeah, I mean, Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's a rite of passage for millennials. You got to cut the cable.
Yeah, it's been 4 years without for me.
Yeah, I think about the same here.
But I do enjoy checking in on the news every once in a while, and you can't really do that.
What I do is I have like the antenna. You can get it on Amazon for like 20
or $30. God, old school.
Yeah, because I watch Ellen every single day, and the only way to watch Ellen is if you have like cable. And so I just have an antenna on my window in my bedroom, and every day at 4 I go and watch Ellen. And I make that work for me.
Pam, you say your antenna is old school, but you can get HD channels through an antenna.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm just thinking about like my grandparents used to have this tiny little portable television that we would have to.
Yeah, I got you. So some other news, Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald is approaching. It comes out this Friday. Rachel, are you a Harry Potter fan?
I am. I'm super excited for this, but I don't watch movies in theaters. So like I'm going to listen to all the hype and then watch it a year later.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how much I'll be able to contribute.
No worries. So Pam, you actually wanted to bring something up. There was a debate in our Facebook group about boycotting or not because of the Johnny Depp drama.
Yeah, kind of. It kind of seemed to spark a lot of discord by means of quite a few different. I feel like everybody kind of has their own reason for boycotting or choosing not to see it so soon. So one of our Facebook members posted a poll that said, do you plan on seeing Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald? And there were a few options here. The most popular one voted on by millennial group members was, yes, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan and I love all things Wizarding World. And then after that, there was the option of, yes, I love the first one and want to see more Newt. And then there was the Johnny Depp one, which did not get as many votes as I thought it was going to. So that option was, no, Johnny Depp is an abusive man and I will support none of his movies. Then there was the option for, I'll probably see it because I have a movie subscription pass. And then the last option was, no, J.K. Rowling and David Yates destroyed the story of Dumbledore for me. So I feel like people that don't want to see this movie are really conflicted between being upset over the fact that Johnny Depp is still cast as Grindelwald and also being upset over how Warner Brothers, David Yates, and J.K. Rowling have responded to issues concerning Johnny Depp and also other issues that have sparked and risen up over the course of the last few years.
Yeah. So. Well, I continue to think that Johnny Depp was probably a mistake in terms of casting. They didn't have to cast him. People loved Colin Farrell when he was playing Graves in the first movie, and then he turned out to be Grindelwald. Like, it would have been so much better, I think everybody agrees, if Johnny Depp was Graves in the first movie, and then he transforms into Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
That would have been made for the internet. Look, we lost Johnny Depp and gained a Colin Farrell.
Also, like, accusations against Johnny Depp aside, I feel like Colin Farrell did such a good job in the first movie that even if Johnny Depp's name was completely squeaky clean, I would still have been disappointed.
Yeah.
We got Johnny Depp for 4 more movies because Colin Farrell did such a great job.
Yeah. So a lot of people also really love Johnny Depp. Obviously, he's a very big actor, but there have been these accusations made against him, not just by Amber Heard, but by others, and it really makes you wonder. Pam, when are you seeing it?
Oh, I'm seeing it on Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, and Pat and I are going Tuesday, and we're probably going to go again Thursday or Friday. I'm excited for it still. Like Johnny Depp is he did temper my excitement for a little bit, but I don't know. People have seen this movie already. There have been these really early fan screenings that happened like a week and a half ago. And apparently there's some big stuff that happens in this movie. That said, critics have been chiming in and it's not doing good on Rotten Tomatoes. It currently has a 57%, meaning the film is rotten by Rotten Tomatoes. According to Rotten Tomatoes' tomato meter. This is the first Whistling Run movie to be rotten.
That's really sad.
Yeah, and a lot of the reviews seem to say the same thing, that there's just too much happening in this movie. And that does not surprise me at all, because if you look at these trailers, there's so many damn characters, and it looks like there's so much going on that I feel like what happened, and I'm not going to judge this until I see it, of course, but my guess is what happened is Warner Brothers has this agreement with J.K. Rowling where they let her do what the hell she wants. Because she probably said at the beginning of this, you want me to do this? I'm going to do it my way. And WB was like, fine, we're going to make tons of money, so fine, do whatever the hell you want. So J.K. Rowling goes and writes this script, and she's just incapable of writing a coherent movie because she needs to write so many details, and those details belong in a book, not in a movie. So I think her just desire to include so much is affecting how this movie is overall. And hopefully by movie 3, 4, and 5, she'll have learned from her mistakes, assuming what the critics say is true, and the movies become a lot more coherent.
But see, this is the thing that kind of bothers me about it, is that if you pay attention to what J.K. Rowling's been saying all along, and she said this too with Cursed Child, which is a whole nother kind of magical beast, so we're not even going to go there. She basically made us all believe that this was a tale that was best going to come across in movie form, and that's the only way she would have ever thought to tell it. But if it's this convoluted, then clearly that's not the case. It's kind of just, this was the easier option.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, I forgot about that she had said something like that she only saw this as being a movie and not a book.
And I appreciate the visual aspect and everything, but based on what the story is turning into, there's so much backstory that we've known about for so long in passing as lifelong Harry Potter fans. It does kind of bother me a little bit that we're not going to ever get that in book form, most likely. And if we do, the chances of Joe actually being the one to write it, I feel like are very slim. I could see somebody else doing, sometimes like people adapt the Spider-Man movies, for example, in novel form as a companion novel, but I can't see her doing that. It just won't be the same.
Yeah. So like I said, despite what the reviews are saying, I'm still excited to see it. And check out my Twitter Tuesday night. I'll probably be tweeting up a storm.
Are you going to an early screening?
Yeah, so AMC teamed up with WB to do one of these fantastic fandom events.
Yeah.
And we bought tickets because we are seeing it a few days early, and that'll help for recording MuggleCast. But here's my favorite part about these screenings. There's no trailers in front of the movie.
Yes.
So the movie is starting at 7:30. I don't have to sit through 30 minutes of movies coming up. And plus we get a poster and we get a pin, I think. So
cute.
It'll be fun. Yeah, we're going with friends. We're going to get dinner beforehand. It'll be a whole night with Johnny Depp. What I've always wanted. So other news, speaking of Disney and movies, we're recording on Veterans Day, and it's been a big news for in the entertainment world. The first Toy Story 4 trailer is out. It's cute, right?
I didn't watch it yet.
Were you upset that they were making a fourth Toy Story after the third ended so perfectly?
I didn't even think I've seen the third. Am I like a terrible millennial?
What?
I went to Toy Story Land a couple weeks ago. That was...
Yeah. Toy Story 3 is so good, and that's the problem with Toy Story 4. Toy Story 3 ends so perfectly. It's like, wow, I think we're good, guys. Thanks, Pixar, but no thanks. Pam, are you one of those people who have been feeling that way?
When they announced Toy Story 4, I kind of just felt like it wasn't necessary. The third
Mm,
movie was so great and it left things off with a really good message, which Disney and Pixar are very good at doing. But I gotta say, like seeing this movie really kind of made, or it's not seeing the movie, but seeing the trailer made me feel all warm and fuzzy. I didn't think I was going to feel this way. I was so adamantly against this idea.
yeah.
And now
I,
I'm thinking like maybe I should figure out when I'm going to go see that.
it made my morning. I woke up, I was watching it with one eye open, this teaser trailer, and I was just smiling because it's so nice to see these beloved characters back. Plus, there's this new one named Forky, voiced by Tony Hale from Arrested Development. And the thing about Forky is that he, I think, is a toy made by Bonnie. So he's not like a typical toy. And so I think one of the storylines in Toy Story 4 is going to be about, I don't know, becoming a toy, even though he isn't a real toy or something like that. We'll see.
Well,
But
now I just need to go watch Toy Story 3 to get ready for this.
you really do. Like, it's one of my favorite movies of all time,
Get the
honestly.
tissues out though, because it's going to make you sob.
I had no idea that it was this good. Everyone, like, nobody told me.
Yeah,
It's really good. That third act, it's great.
it kills you.
It does on a multitude of levels.
Well, now I'm excited. At least now I have something to do this weekend, tonight. I don't know.
Please tweet about it. I want to hear your reactions to it.
I will tweet you guys and be like, pretty much, probably it sounds like just hysterical crying because between pregnancy hormones and this, I just cry like everything. And nostalgia.
And then, as if the Toy Story 4 trailer weren't enough, there was also a trailer for Detective Pikachu. They made this movie because 2 summers ago, Pokemon Go absolutely blew up. So now Hollywood was trying to get in on the Pokemon excitement. And did either of you play Pokemon Go, or were you into Pokemon as a kid?
Mm-hmm,
I
both.
played as a kid and I went to like a Pokemon Go meetup
Okay.
when like that whole thing happened, and that was interesting.
Yeah. So like it's weird hearing Ryan Reynolds be Pikachu, but it grew on me really quick. And I actually am really excited for this movie now. Like there's a ton of Pokemon are making cameos in this movie. It's based on the video game Detective Pikachu, by the way. It co-stars Justice Smith. He's the human in the movie. He was in Paper Towns. And like I said, Ryan Reynolds voices Pikachu. But like, I just happened to pause it at one point accidentally, and I see a missing poster for Squirtle. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why is Squirtle missing? What happened to that poor guy? So now I'm like totally intrigued by this movie, and I'm so excited for it.
Same. This movie sounded really stupid on paper when they announced it, and the trailer is actually really good. Although I will say that Mr. Mime is the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, it's interesting how they brought the Pokemon to life, quote unquote, because they're still CGI, but they're supposed to look lifelike. They're all kind of fuzzy. Like Pikachu is kind of fuzzy.
I was going to say there's great debate online over whether Jigglypuff should have fur or not.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's been an interesting day, to say the least, between talking Pikachu and this new Toy Story character, Forky. Twitter's been having a field day. And then finally, one more story, which unfortunately, it's a sad one. We lost Stan Lee today. He is the Marvel Comics legend. He's credited with popularizing Marvel. Before Stan Lee and some of his associates, the superheroes just were kind of like very stiff and very serious, kind of like Batman is today. And Stan Lee said, let's make these superheroes fun and very interesting, and let's make them appeal to kids. So he, and like I said, his associates came up with Iron Man, Black Panther, Spider-Man, all the heroes we know and love today. They are thanks to Stan Lee, and he died in LA on Monday morning at the age of 95. Just an absolutely monumental loss for the comic world and for Hollywood. But he lives on in all those fantastic cameos, of which he did so many.
I haven't had time to read any of the obits yet. I've kind of just been focusing on what people have been saying on Twitter about their experiences working with him or meeting him, which have all been really touching to read. But had he filmed his cameo for Avengers 4 and anything coming down the pipeline?
I don't know that yet. I've been waiting for like Deadline or the Hollywood Reporter to report on that.
Same.
But so we know Chris Evans already finished Avengers, so I would think that there's a good chance Stan Lee filmed his Avengers 4 cameo already.
So we might see him there and probably in Captain Marvel because they wrapped too, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so a couple more cameos to come, I guess, so that'll be fun to look forward to. All right. Well, on that note, Rachel, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for joining us. You were fantastic.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Well, first, let's just plug, your website one more time.
I'm like the worst.
Okay, bye.
Bye, guys. Can we go back to texting now? Yeah.
Tell us all the places we can find you.
Yeah, so theconfusedmillennial.com, the Confused Millennial podcast, the Confused Millennial on Instagram. That's pretty much it. And if you spelled millennial wrong, which I hope you wouldn't, given that you're listening to this podcast, I have the domain for people that leave out the second end, because that happens a lot.
That is genius.
Yeah.
We need to do that.
So don't worry, I got you covered.
That is fantastic. We have to talk more. We got to talk shop. I want to talk to you in the future over social media and email and whatnot, because it's been great getting to know you and hearing that you're in the same boat as us.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Sure.
And talk to y'all later.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right. She was lovely.
Yes.
I'm thinking she should replace Laura.
Wouldn't you miss her a little bit?
I do. Of course I do. You might be seeing Laura a little later this week, right?
I think I'm going to see her on Wednesday. She's out in San Francisco, staying at a very nice hotel.
Someone's got money. And by someone, I mean her job, not Laura.
The job that shall not be named.
All right, we're going to talk to one of our listeners, but first, a word from our final sponsor this week, Policy Genius. They're the go-to place for anyone searching for any type of insurance. We all need insurance for so many things in our lives, including our lives. Life insurance isn't the most enjoyable thing to think about. Most people don't like thinking about dying, but actually having life insurance is a really good feeling. It's nice to know that if anything were to happen to you, your family won't have to start a GoFundMe to stay afloat. Your family will be in good hands should they need to use a life insurance policy. Policy Genius is the way to quickly and easily compare quotes from the top insurers to find the best policy for you. It's so simple. I visited Policy Genius recently to look at health insurance policies because it's the time of year where you need to start finding your policy for the next year. It asks you a couple of questions about what you're trying to insure, and just like that, you're given a bunch of policy options from all the insurers that you've heard of. Policy Genius has helped over 4 million people shop for insurance and placed over $20 billion in coverage. If you care about it, they can cover it. Life insurance is the one that Policy Genius has been really pushing recently, since most people don't think about it. So if you've been avoiding getting life insurance because it's difficult or confusing, give Policy Genius a try. Just go to policygenius.com, get your quotes, and apply in minutes. You can do the whole thing on your phone right now. So visit policygenius.com right now. They are the easy way to compare and buy life insurance. All right, it's time now for surprise, bitch. And
Who you calling
all right,
today?
we are calling Myra. And my first question is if I'm pronouncing her name right.
The
Uh-oh.
wireless customer you are calling is not available. Please try again later. El cliente de servicio móvil.
I thought I would get a voicemail, but I guess not. All
She's
right.
off the grid.
Yeah. Let's try calling Cam up in Canada. I'm not even going to complete that call because I see he's not still a patron. Hold on, let me just find some. Here we go. Jacqueline. Let's try calling Jacqueline or Jackie.
Hello?
Jackie.
Hi.
Surprise, bitch. It's Millennial.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, not much.
Oh my god.
You got me and Pam on the line. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good. What's so
I
funny?
I saw the call and I was like, who the hell is calling me? It's like no caller ID.
Honestly, that would be my reaction too. So
I almost didn't pick up, but I'm so happy I did.
That's the new name of this segment. Who the hell is calling? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you live?
I live outside of Boston, Mass.
Oh, okay.
And I'm kind of a photographer, video editor.
That's cool. Is this like a job at a particular company or is this freelance?
Mainly freelance.
Interesting. We actually had a guest on earlier who her full-time job is running a blog for millennials, and she was talking about how freelance has just been growing and growing in recent years. How long have you been in freelance?
Just a couple years. I'd say 2 to 3 years.
Is it terrifying?
Kind of, yeah. But it's still fun either way.
So are you like a wedding photographer or?
I do different gigs. I've done weddings before, but mainly short films. And then I have my own, thing on YouTube and stuff.
Oh, cool. So like, how do you, continuing with the theme of who we were talking to earlier, how do you get discovered? How do you find your business?
It's mainly with video editing. It's pretty much networking. So just keep producing, and then people will find you if your stuff is good enough.
Yeah. You just stay on top of that hustle.
Pretty much.
Are you planning on seeing Fantastic Beasts this weekend?
I am. Yeah. Actually, one of my friends, he wants to go to like a midnight premiere, but I don't know if they're doing those. Do fans care enough to do that?
And so
I don't, because I've been to obviously a couple Harry Potter ones, but we were like younger then, so now we're kind of older. If they do, I'll probably be there.
Well, my stance on midnight screenings is that I'm in bed by 10 p.m., so that just doesn't work for me anymore.
That's fair. Yeah, it is. It gets like too late, and then I'm like, I'm gonna be tired the rest of the day or the next day.
Right. It ruins your day. Have you had any hesitation about seeing it due to the Johnny Depp drama or anything else that J.K. Rowling's been tweeting?
A little bit, but it's still Harry Potter, and unfortunately I'm just gonna watch it anyways.
Right. Can't resist.
But yeah, I can't now.
Yeah. So are you definitely? So it sounds like you might not actually go to a midnight screening then.
No, I'll probably say this weekend, like a normal person.
One more question for you. Or are you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
Okay, just so like getting back to the theme of this episode is like how to make it as a millennial. What are your greatest challenges as a millennial today?
As a millennial?
Are you a millennial?
Yeah, I'm 24.
Oh, okay.
I'd say so.
Like, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face today? Like, just growing up, trying to, be successful, work-life balance, all that.
I'd say just my biggest challenge is just staying in school, and then kind of weighing out if I want to, have that much student loan personally, because
Yeah.
it sounds awful. That's mainly probably the biggest concern for me. It's a hard decision.
So you're in school right now?
No, I actually just got my associates, but I do want to go back.
Oh, okay.
Weighing out what school I want to go to, and then kind of figuring it out from there.
So that would be for the bachelor's?
Yes.
And that would be another 2 years?
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, the student loan stuff, I don't know. I mean, you're not asking me for advice, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Like, you got the freelance gig going on, and I think you should just stick with that. Maybe hold off on continuing with college.
Yeah, that's what if I feel like I might do, but I do still want to have that, degree.
Yeah.
So it's a tough decision.
Yeah. Because people are always going to need your work, which is good to know.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll let you go, but thank you for your support, and thanks for answering.
Thank you for calling me. I've been listening to podcast for a long time, and your previous work. You guys are awesome, and I just enjoy listening to you guys every week.
Hey, well, thanks so much. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
And have a good night over in Massachusetts.
You have a good one. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Should have asked her about Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, yeah.
Pam, have you ever played Joking Hazard?
I have no idea what this is.
Well, that's my recommendation this week.
Oh, great. Tell me all about it.
So we went to a game night on Saturday night, and we played this game called Joking Hazard. It's like Cards Against Humanity, but you're making like a comic strip. So you pull the first card, and it's got a little picture of two characters. And then you play one of your own cards for the second frame of the comic strip. And then the other people playing put down their own cards, but face down. And then just like Cards Against Humanity, you get to pick what the best option was for that third frame in the comic. And it's just so refreshing playing Cards Against Humanity with pictures that I quickly fell in love with it. And the cartoons are absolutely outrageous. There's a lot of boners. There's a lot of blood.
Perfect.
Yeah. If you like Cards Against Humanity and you're looking for something new, I highly recommend Joking Hazard. It's a lot of fun. In today's After Dark, we're going to talk some shit on some people, aren't we, Pam?
Yeah, should be a good time.
And since, it's just Pam and I this week, we're just going to get personal. Pam found a therapist. We'll talk about that. Speaking of therapy and mental health, I have an announcement about my Lexapro, so I'm going to update everyone on that. And then we asked people, what can we tell you about Laura? Since she's not here, let us tell you about Laura without her permission. So we're going to do all those things. We will be off next week because of the Thanksgiving holiday, but then we will be back 2 weeks after that, or 2 weeks from today. And Laura will be back from her trip, and we'll have to hear what you and Laura get up to in San Francisco.
I know. I feel like I'm going to have to bring my A game so that I could come back with good stories.
Drunk.
Get her drunk. But I, at some point, have to drive home. So I don't think it's as fun if she's the only drunk one.
She's in a nice hotel, right? She'll let you crash.
That's true. What if she has a roommate, though?
You two can pretend you're lovers.
Perfect. Mark too.
You can say, I am Mark.
Right, exactly. In San Francisco, that would be perfectly normal.
Yeah, just another day there. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Let me do some plugs first. Check out our website, Millennial Show. That's MILLENNIAL. We do have 2 L's and 2 N's. We haven't bought the typo millennial just yet, like Rachel did. That was so smart.
That is really smart.
millennialshow.com. You can get all the information you need about the show. We would also appreciate your support over at patreon.com/millennial. You get ad-free editions of the show, bonus content like Hashing It Out and After Dark. You can be eligible for Surprise Bitch, guest hosting the show, and lots more. Again, patreon.com/millennial. We do need your support to keep it going, so we really appreciate a pledge at any level. All right. thanks everybody for listening. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Pamela.
Just two people.
Oh, so lonely here without Laura.
The outro was so short. Our names, that was so quick. I didn't even have a second to breathe.
At the beginning of the show, I was like, oh yeah, I have to go now because usually I wait for Laura.
Yeah. All right. We'll see everybody in a couple of weeks. Have a nice Thanksgiving. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Do you need a quick break or?
No, I'm good if you're good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Welcome to After Dark 444. Pam and I are here this week, an intimate show.
Nice
So Pam, you were in LA and you went to Disneyland. I'm jealous.
Do you miss it a little?
I do miss it a little, but it has gotten so crowded that I also don't miss it. And
my God. Yes.
It really pains me to say that because I absolutely adore Disneyland. It's the original Disney theme park. I'm a theme park junkie, but it's really hard to find a slow day to go. Was it busy when you went?
Yes, we went on this past Friday, and it was the first day of Disney Christmas. Although, you know how on Main Street they usually have the really cute garlands going down the row?
Yes.
They didn't have that this year, and it looked really empty, and I was really sad. And I don't know if it's because they ran out of time and hadn't strung those up yet, or if they just decided not to do that this year. That was kind of sad. But the rest of the park looked magical.
Yeah, I bet. I think I know why the garland isn't up, and I agree with you. I love that garland going across Main Street. It's so beautiful. A couple of years ago, they didn't put up the garland because the fucking Frozen float was so tall.
God,
in the Christmas.
Elsa.
I know. Frozen ruined the beauty of Main Street at Christmas. That's why they didn't put it up a couple years ago, and I'm willing to bet that's why it's not happening this year.
God damn it. Can't they just wait for next year?
So anyway, go on.
Okay, so I went to Disneyland, and I went with a very good friend of mine who Andrew knows. And, you know, it's always nice to spend time with good friends, but this friend also worked for Disneyland for 5 years. And I feel like you can split Disney cast members in two different groups. Group A are the people that absolutely love everything about Disneyland and also absolutely love their jobs. And then they leave at some point or they stay and they still love everything about their experience. And then there's group B, and they had not as nice of an experience and they leave really grumpy and jaded. And that is the way that my friend left after 5 years. So it's still fun, but it's not as fun because, you know, sometimes you just want to be really excited and go on rides and do like all the stuff. But this person, for example, doesn't like to wait in lines. So I think we went on like 3 things and that was it.
Oh,
so that was too bad.
You know, in the final like year that I was a California resident, my now ex and I would always go at opening because that was the only way to enjoy the park is to get there when the park opened and before the lines got too long. And like, there's not even the slow day anymore. Like you can't go on a Monday and expect things to be slow or an off season. There's no off season anymore. It's just busy year round. And it's just so sad.
It is really sad. Wednesday was a great day to go at one point, but
yeah,
I really think honestly, and maybe you'll agree with us that as soon as they started offering different tiers for the annual passes, and also started offering a payment plan, it was incentive for more and more people to sign up.
Right.
Originally, you had to pay up front for everything.
Right. The monthly plan was definitely a game changer. Previously, you had to pay, I mean, before the monthly plan, a premium pass was probably like, I don't know, $600-700. And you had to pay that up front. And obviously, that's very difficult for people to do.
Right.
It's like borderline a down payment on a car. And then they did the monthly payments. They made monthly payments available, and suddenly it costs like $30 a month. But they've been creeping the cost of the passes have been creeping up. It's probably like what, $1,200 now for a
Oh,
premium pass.
I'm sure. And Disney has never been more popular, especially with the rise of Disney bounding and the Instagrammable Disney moments. It was like the top most Instagram place last year, and there's so much that's coming down the pipeline too. I can't imagine how much more crowded it's going to be when Star Wars Land opens.
Oh yeah, avoid at all costs
I
when
know.
Star Wars Land. I was seeing some stuff like they're removing benches in popular areas to try to make the walkways wider for when Star Wars opens.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw them starting to do that in a few places, specifically in California Adventure, which is really cool. Pixar Pier, by the way, is really, really well done. They redid all of that to be kind of like the Pixar area of the park, but kind of over by Hollywoodland where they have the Monsters Inc. ride. They have removed a lot of the picnic tables that they used to have there. And there are some like standing only tables if you choose to get a drink, because there's a bar back there. And then there's also a food truck there too, which is really weird. But I don't know. I guess it's a ploy to get more people to dine at the actual restaurants. But
right. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of sad what's going on. I mean, I feel like Disney World is still manageable. I go from time to time, but yeah, Disneyland. Plus, I mean, Disneyland is just smaller compared to Disney World. So I just mean, like, even if you compare Disneyland, the park, with Magic Kingdom, the park, the Magic Kingdom park feels massive compared to Disneyland. Like, Disneyland feels so tight, even without crowds. It's just a larger footprint.
Yeah, and they have the line situation down at Magic Kingdom too. Everything's shaded. It's so hot sometimes too. You can't really find a good weather day to go.
And like what Rachel said on the show, they got the Fast Pass Plus at Disney World, whereas they don't have that yet. That whole Magic Band system, they don't have at Disneyland yet. So anyway, what else is going on with you? You previously told us you were searching for a therapist. You found one now?
I did find one. Yeah, it took going through a few people, but I found somebody that I really, really like, which is great, because at one point I thought, well, if I can't find anybody, I should just go with a more affordable kind of community counseling situation. And I tried that, but I didn't really like it because you didn't always see the same person, and they can still offer you advice to a degree, but it's not the same as seeing somebody for a few months and having them know and remember the basics of who you are and what you're struggling with. So I found a very nice therapist 15 miles down the road, and I see her once a week, and she's really great.
Did you give her a rose to celebrate?
I should have. It's very similar to dating.
That's awesome, though. I mean, congrats. That's exciting, because that must be it must feel good to know that there's somebody you really like who you can talk to.
Yeah, it's such a tough industry to navigate, and so I commiserate with anybody that's thinking about trying therapy and doesn't really know where to start, because it's really daunting.
How many people did you end up going through before?
Oh God, I talked to about maybe 10 people.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess I'm just maybe I'm too picky, but I was talking to actually Sarah, because she was helping me narrow down my search, who was on the show with you.
Aww.
Yeah, she helped
so
me.
Sweet.
Yeah, she went through Psychology Today and picked out a bunch of people, and just by starting with her list, I was able to kind of narrow in on some of the qualities that those people had that I liked, and it helped make the searching so much easier, because there's so many technical terms on these databases that you really kind of have to understand what you're struggling with, and also understand the basics of the different types of therapy, because it's not just I'm going to go see somebody and it's all going to be the same. There's so many different variations to how people tackle your problems and try and help you through them. So
yeah. So what were some of those, I don't want you to get super personal, but what were some of the aspects about this therapist that you really liked?
I really appreciate that it's, you know, I don't think that therapy is meant to be super comfortable. I think that you should feel pushed to really dig deeper, because if not, you're probably not addressing something that you really should be addressing. So I really appreciated that I felt comfortable saying even the things that sounded really silly in my mind. That's really important, because you don't ever want to go into a situation like this and feel like you're being judged.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate that she is compassionate, but not overly so that she doesn't push me to try to do, you know, things that make me uncomfortable. I think that that's really important for me. I can't have somebody that's like too tough love. And I talked to a few people that were a little too stern. So, yeah, it makes me sound like a big baby, but I need a little bit of coddling.
Totally. I want to be pacified a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And so she does that. But she also, you know, points out that I need to be braver in certain aspects. And she's always making me think, which is really nice. I read somewhere that like a therapist should never really tell you what to do. Like a good therapist is going to listen and kind of guide you to figuring out the answer to your own problems. And I feel like she does that really well.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, one of my concerns about getting a therapist has been the money involved. Like, how often are you seeing this therapist?
Well, because I feel like I need to hold myself accountable, and that's accountability and also routine is really important for me right now in terms of what I'm struggling with. I am seeing her once a week to start.
Okay.
So I, on my insurance plan right now, I wasn't able to find anybody that was covered through my insurance. So I found somebody that was on a sliding scale, meaning that it was somebody that, you know, can charge an exuberant amount, but will modify that price to a certain point. And
if you're coming often?
No, yeah, I think that some therapists that have sliding scale, like you can ask them if they have a sliding scale, and they'll tell you what their minimum is if you have financial hardship, but you really want to see them. So with talking to Sarah, she kind of pointed out that while everybody that she was sending me did have a sliding scale, for the area that I live in, I shouldn't expect to pay under $60 a session. So it is pricey, but I think for me right now, it's important to do it more regularly. And then later on, once I feel like she has a pretty good grasp of, you know, kind of the basics, I'll probably be able to scale down to twice a month.
Okay.
And it'll make it a little bit more affordable.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like to each their own.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my concern has just been like, I like the idea of this. I have no doubt that it's going to be helpful. However, you know, this can add up over time. And I think I'm just looking at like the long term. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but that's always been my biggest hesitation, I think.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely a financial commitment, but also kind of an investment on long-term gain.
That's a better way to look at it, isn't it? It's an investment.
Yeah. But that's why I think it's really important that you find somebody that you really feel like is going to be a good match, and why I didn't feel as bad being picky. Yeah. Because if I knew I was going to spend, you know, a certain amount, then I wanted to make sure it was the right person.
Yeah. You want to get your money's worth, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tough. Like I cry every session. No lie.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That probably means it's working.
Yeah.
You're letting it out.
Actually therapeutic. Go figure.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that as you continue.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you're doing that.
I know.
So I've been documenting my journey off of Lexapro. I started it in mid 2016, and God, I can't even keep track anymore. I don't know, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I started decreasing the amount of Lexapro. So it's been about 3 to 4 weeks now since I've been completely off it. I reduced my dosage very slowly at the suggestion of my psychiatrist. She has found that if you do it slowly, you get the best results in terms of long-term success, staying off of Lexapro long-term. And it was terrifying getting off of Lexapro because I've been on it for over 2 years. And the only side effect I had was dizziness. Getting off of it, like I was taking Lexapro every other day and then every 3 days over the course of about 3 weeks. And like right before taking my next dose, I was like just really excited because I was really dizzy. I couldn't really make any sudden movements. But that has since disappeared, the dizziness. And it's been good, but I'm also like hesitant to stay off of it because I just feel like life is good on Lexapro. Like I enjoy being medicated a little bit, so I know that I'm not going to have any panic attacks and less depression. Like I do feel, I think I'm a little depressed having been off Lexapro, or maybe it's just seasonal depression. Like I don't know which one it is.
It's funny because that the idea of being addicted to something like Lexapro is why I'm so scared that I'll have to go on it because therapy won't be enough.
Yeah. God, did I just reveal that I'm like addicted to a drug?
I don't know, but I just, you do give me hope staying off of it, but you do what's best for you. Don't.
Yeah. It's just, I don't think I'm just, I don't think I'm not craving it or anything. It was just nice knowing that it's there. It's kind of like a fallback. Like, even though today's going to be really stressful, the Lexapro is going to help keep my brain in check.
And honestly, I understand why that's so appealing because there's nothing worse than a panic attack because in the back of your mind, rationally that it will pass at some point because it always has, but you don't know when it's going to happen. And when it's happening, it's hard to be logical about that.
Right. Exactly. You can't
It's
be logical.
The worst feeling in the world.
Yeah. And before I started Lexapro in 2016, like after my first panic attack, it was terrifying. Like, oh my God, what's going to trigger me again? When's my next panic attack going to happen? And I'm worried I'm going to trip up mentally and those panic attacks are going to start coming back. That said, I am in a different place now, so maybe they won't, both, mentally and physically. I'm in very different places.
I mean, that's a really big part of anxiety, isn't it? Just kind of worrying about things that could happen.
Yeah.
But also trying to remind yourself that they might not happen. But it's hard.
Right. So while it's been tempting to go back, I'm also reminding myself, well, shit, I just put all this effort into reducing my dosage and getting off of it. So why don't I just try to stick it out? So that's what I'm doing. Well, if I do start having any sort of like severe anxiety in terms of like chest pains, because like that's what started it. Before I went on Lexapro, like I was having really bad chest pains, and then that blossomed into real panic attacks. Like if those start again, then
terrifying.
Oh yeah, it's the worst. I mean, I still remember just like sitting down at my desk one night, and just the pain just came back. It was all in my head. It was,
Yeah. For me, it's always like I lose feeling in my hands and in my feet.
Yep.
Tingly and then I can't catch my breath. But and then sometimes it's like little things, like if I'm feeling slightly anxious, maybe my face will feel flushed. And there's that underlying panic of like, is this going to escalate or can I go on with the rest of my day, wherever I am? So I get it.
So for my first big panic attack, I lost feeling in my hands and feet. And I remember I had a Fit Desk, one of those stationary bikes.
Yeah. Was it the one with the bicycle?
Yeah. So it's a stationary bike and it's got a desktop on it. And this is another thing I can't buy again because I was working out at home and I was working while working out. That probably contributed to having these panic attacks. Yeah. It's just like no breaks. I'm like fucking working out. So I can't go back to that. But anyway, when I had my first panic attack, I was losing feeling in my hands and feet. And in my desperation to like make it go away, I hopped on the Fit Desk to try to get blood pumping to my hands and feet.
Yeah.
to try to make it go away.
I had a very long panic attack right before I moved back from LA, and the friend that I was staying with, because I couldn't catch my breath, told me to take some laps outside, and that just made it 10 times worse.
Oh yeah, my fit desk
But
trick.
anything to solve the problem quick. So
Yeah.
like a fool, I was out there doing laps.
And it didn't work.
No, it didn't work. You just kind of have to let it pass.
Right. Yeah, my fit desk trick didn't work either. It was very disappointing. So I think what I've learned from this is that, first of all, this whole experience has made me realize that we all struggle with mental health issues. I used to pride myself on, oh, I don't need drugs for anything. Like, that's great. And then, reality set in. I did need Lexapro, and it was a game changer, like I've said on the show previously. And I would not be ashamed of going back to it. I think if I ever did go back to it, I would probably just sit at 5 milligrams. I was at 20 for at least a year, probably a year and a half. Then I was at 10 for a while. And then I was on 5 for a few months, and things were good on 5. Like, at least I learned from this that I didn't need 20, didn't need 10. But after 2.5 years of taking medicine every night, it's still surreal to me to not be taking a pill before I go to bed.
Because you establish a routine, and a routine is important.
Right. And such a relief, like, because there would be some nights where it's like, did I take it already tonight? Now I'm not worrying anymore. It's so great.
Oh, well, I'm proud of you that you've lowered your dose.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. It feels like a good accomplishment, like it's hard to it's hard to see like tangible accomplishments when you're doing so much online. Like, that's one that's tangible. So anyway, to wrap up this installment of After Dark, we asked on Patreon, what can we tell you about Laura? And to be honest, we opened this up to the Facebook official level patrons, and we only got one response. So what the hell, guys?
Because nobody cares about Laura.
I know. This
or
was
respects her privacy.
Probably that one. Well, because Laura and Elisa a while ago did one where they were talking about me while I was off. So I thought I could turn the tables on this bitch. And nobody's helping me. But
these hoes are loyal.
One person did, Jared, and he said, "What is Laura's greatest regret?" I do not have an answer for that one, but we can make one up. I think Laura regrets moving to Atlanta.
You think so?
I think she wanted to get away from Georgia, get away from her family, her brother, her parents. They all live close by. She has a lot of family and friends around there. She wanted to break free, and she didn't. She just moved to her nearest town. That is freaking boring.
I was going to say maybe she regrets grad school. I feel like a lot of people regret grad school.
That is a serious answer. That is Laura's biggest regret, probably. Because she got saddled with all this student debt, and she doesn't think she needs grad school.
I don't think I need my BA.
That's what I was just going to ask you. What's your highest level? Bachelor's?
Bachelor's in journalism and a minor in international relations.
That's with Hypable, we don't require a college degree. So not with us, you needed the bachelor's degree because I have to remember the talk.
I don't think after a certain amount of time, like I think about this, not to, this is going to make me sound so conceited and like I'm boasting, but based on my resume alone, sometimes I wonder if just my resume could get me in the door more than my bachelor's could.
I wonder that too. I hope that that's the case for me because I don't have the college degree. So, we were talking with Rachel, like, you worry about the future. I worry about the future because, like, I wonder if Hypable and the podcast is enough for somebody to be able to hire me.
Yeah.
Maybe if I worded my resume the right way, but I don't know how to freaking do that.
I mean, honestly, with your resume, it's hard. I think that they really will go by the name. So I know fully well, honestly, anytime I walk in to a bigger interview opportunity for, freelancing. Everybody is going to ask about Entertainment Weekly. Everybody's going to ask about Billboard because those are nationally recognized publications.
Right.
But I will say that once you get to the interview stage and you can elaborate, like, no joke, I know we laugh about this, but when I didn't have anything on my resume and I was just looking for an internship, Imprint helped a lot. Nobody knew what podcasts were. So I would just throw out numbers, and, numbers speak volumes for people.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Twilight podcast, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know. Yeah, I feel like you're in a great position because you can reference EW and Billboard. Obviously, those are very recognizable names.
Yeah, and now People's Choice Awards is owned by E! News, so.
Oh. And so, like, to get back to your earlier question, I don't think you need your college degree to get your foot in the door in places now, because you have the real world experience that counts.
Mm-hmm. I might, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say who puts stock in what, or if they just be like, oh, well, like, we know that you did this, but also, like, you don't have a college degree or something, You
quitter. Why didn't you go to college?
Exactly. I feel like I could spin that really well. I'd just be like, look, I just started getting internships, and now I've been doing this for 5 years. So
yeah. Could you even be like, because college is expensive and I didn't want to get saddled with decades of debt?
Probably.
I wonder how an interviewer would react to.
They'd be like, damn, that's dark.
Or like, damn, that's real. You're hired.
Yeah. It's so funny. Like, podcasting, I feel like podcasting might be your way in if, like, God forbid, Hypeable just deconstructs one day. Especially now with podcasts being so mainstream, like, it holds a lot of weight to say, oh yeah, I've been podcasting for 10 years.
I've been podcasting since before it was cool.
Yeah. Seriously. For real.
Yeah, that could help for sure. But yeah, it's just something I think about.
Yeah, I think about it too. I think adapting is key, though, especially for us. And it kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety to think about whether or not I'll be able to adapt going forward.
Right.
But then I think about the things that I learned at journalism school and how, like, it was a great foundation, but I was doing leaps and bounds more on my own, working with fan sites online and stuff like that. And, like, that was adapting, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. So
yeah,
I feel like we'll be fine.
Yeah. I think, to me, just, your real world experience, you've worked at in the big sites, you've worked in the little sites, you've seen both sides of that. And plus, you got the college degree. You were the total package, Pam.
Oh, thanks. Tell
Total
that to my next future employer.
All right. Well, on that bright note, I think we'll end this installment of After Dark. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right.
Cool. I don't know if my mic recorded or not. So
you were recording your internal, I think.
I thought so too. I had to check my bag, and I think that they might have been a little too harsh with it.
Your bag?
Yeah, I had to check my carry-on bag because my flights were really full.
Oh.
Yeah, and I just noticed right now that it looks like it's not connecting on my Yeti because I took my Yeti with me.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'll look into that for next week, but hopefully it's just something that I can bend, but it's definitely not going into the microphone, which is shitty.
Yeah. I noticed I could hear, like, some of the rustling on the headphones, but I was thinking maybe it was just, like, on Google Hangouts that it was coming through your headset mic. But
no, it's definitely the mic port. But I'll see what I can do next week.
So do you think your recording program was recording your headset then?
I think so, because the Yeti, I just noticed that the Yeti's not actually registering on my computer.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's that's fine, as long, because, like, it's not like you didn't record any audio at all. So
yeah, it's just it's not like microphone. But
okay.
All right. Cool.
Well,
I'll send
you for
this
letting
over
me know.
to you.
Yeah, sounds good. Good show. Thanks for I know there was extra talking involved with the
two-person
panel.
That's what I'm here for. I can definitely fill up empty voices.
I know. All right. Have a good night.
You
Bye,
too.
listeners.
Bye.